I feel like shit today, so I'll make this as quick as possible. I posted a video yesterday pointing out that the sources in a video claiming to show COVID regulation workers killing people's pets was unverified, so misleading. I pointed that out in a short yesterday and reposted it on Reddit, and I'm getting bombed with comments that push stereotypes that they're eating people's pets, which, and then also calling me like a Chinese Communist Party shill, which means like someone who is an apologist or condoning everything that they do. And some people have accused me of being paid by the Chinese government, which is hilarious to me because, one, I'm an American citizen and I have like 200 subscribers on YouTube. Like, it's hilarious to me that anyone would think any government gives a shit about me. My own government doesn't give a shit about me. My own government wouldn't give a fuck if I died right now. They would be like, oh, check mark, off the census. Like, some of my posts get high tractions, but I'm not, no, by no means an influencer or anything like that. So I want to make it clear, I am completely independent in the content I upload. I am not tethered to any rules or regulations except those that YouTube or whatever social media platform has provided. My opinions that I express are entirely my own. Now, so many comments are like, why do you care about misinformation concerning China? Well, one, I care about all misinformation. Like, for instance, misinformation about COVID vaccines, misinformation about things happening everywhere. And something I have a problem with mainstream media, and especially media outlets like Fox News. They spout highly inflammatory misinformation that exacerbates racism and ignorance. That is really what I am concerned with. So I've talked about it in some of my shorts. The rise in anti-Asian hate crimes is fueled in large part due to yellow peril and China virus mentalities that we can call it xenophobia. It's fear of the rise in Chinese power. I feel like it's inevitable that China is going to be probably the strongest country in the world at some point because their economy is booming and they have 4 times as many people as the United States. Now, my interest is that does not mean that the United States is still not going to be a world powerhouse, including other European countries and other Asian countries. Not every Asian country is sided with China. I think India is also capable of being on par with China in terms of world power because they have a similar population and a similar booming economy. Now, I don't really care about any of that, to be honest. I don't really care about world powers or whatever. I don't care. I am extremely liberal in my views on nationalism. I want to make this clear for anyone. My view is that eventually there should be no countries and that the world government should be hegemonic. We should be under one hegemony and we should be one world government. There should be no war, no racism. That is my views. Now, you can call me an apologist or whatever. The Uyghur situation. I've literally included a video clip of suspected Uyghur abuse in my music video, Girls, Cocaine, Money, and Fame. It's something I'm concerned with. Tiananmen Square, all these hot button issues that people are like, oh, you won't talk about this because you're a Chinese apologist. Look, any human rights violations I am concerned with and want them to stop. I believe that the Uyghur situation merits UN investigations. Now, I've also seen sources that state that the United States was bombing the Uyghur Muslims like not long ago, a few years ago. So, what I am noticing is the vain hypocrisy of Americans that they say, fuck the CCP, Uyghur Muslims. Look, I didn't even know what the Uyghurs were like 1 or 2 years ago. It's the hypocrisy that we care so much about what China is doing, and China is bad because all they're doing. Look, we can play the game of whataboutism. What about America? Because the tennis player Peng Shuai, who claimed that a high-ranking official in China raped her and got away with it. Look at Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Look at Bill Cosby. All these. Look at Donald Trump. All of them have had Matt Gaetz, a representative who is alleged to have partaken in sex trafficking of minors, and he's still in power and worshipped by a lot of far-right people. We can say, okay, the Uyghur Muslim situation. What about the genocide and disenfranchisement of Native Americans? What about black slavery and the disenfranchisement of black people? The Tiananmen Square. What about the Tulsa massacre, which displaced over 6,000 African Americans and slaughtered so many of them, and that was only in the 20s and 30s. And the continued oppression of black people in today's world due to gerrymandering and trying to take away voting rights. We can talk about all that. We can talk about how ICE camps are being set up with forced hysterectomies, and when that land belonged to those people, those Mexican people originally, and they were pushed out, and when trying to get back, they've been forcefully imprisoned and separated from their families and abused. There's been child rape cases there. There's been murder cases alleged. And forced hysterectomies is a tactic of genocide. We can talk about that. So people accuse me of saying whataboutism. Okay, fine. It is what about America? Because if you're going to act so passionately about human rights violations in a foreign country, then you should be concerned about domestic human rights violations as well. And I am concerned and look, I'm trying to learn about things. All of this stuff overall makes me realize how ignorant I am. Tibet, I don't know the geopolitical disputes about Tibet. I don't know, like, I didn't even know where Tibet, Hong Kong, Taiwan were on maps until I was like, why are these places being disputed? And I went and I found them, and the more I try to read about them, the more complex these situations are. And there's no easy answer, and it really is up to the people involved in those situations to work things out. And me, as an outside party, all I'm concerned with is that things are being done with the interest of peace and diplomacy kept in mind. And any human rights violations occurring, I see us as people, our duty as people in the world, to put an end to human rights violations. And that's it. That's why my interest in curbing anti-China sentiments is simply that with the rise in hating China, also rises in hating Asians. I've talked about Vincent Chin, a Chinese American who was murdered for people who were disgruntled at the Japanese auto industry. So, unfortunately, racism is pervasive. So, China being hated bleeds into other Asian diaspora. And it's sad, but that's why I feel defensive about curbing hate propaganda. So, I'm not being fucking paid. The Chinese government doesn't give a shit about me. So, anything you want to talk about, I'm willing to talk about. I'm not neutral, but I am independent. So, that's it.